Good evening. It is 9 o'clock on Tuesday, so it is time for another puzzle. I have not yet decided what kind of puzzle I want to do this week, so I'm just sort of going through my drive folders to see what I might want to do. I I could so far I've done I think 12 of these streams, and I haven't repeated a format other than doing both a black square cryptic and a variety cryptic. And I know I'm going to have to repeat something eventually. I would like to do another cryptic, and I can't think of like a third option for that. I'm going to want to do another Pathfinder. Um, so maybe I just go with a Pathfinder. I already have a cryptic uh, that I wrote in the last couple of sessions. So maybe a Pathfinder? Sure. I previously did a the one that I did previously was a Hex Pathfinder, which I have here, um, which I wound up sending to June Pak for his outside the box puzzles, and which means that I haven't had one on my Patreon since I had one during my. It was back when I was doing a little mini hunt for my 10th anniversary. I had a Hex Pathfinder with an extraction. Was it Hex, or it might have been a regular Pathfinder? No, it was probably Hex with an extra extraction, which was also very challenging because the way the extraction worked really messed with how the with how you're supposed to solve it. So yeah, maybe I will do a Pathfinder. Let's make a copy of this template. Go PF2025. So this one will go up in next month, so September. So Pathfinder is very flexible. Uh, Usually I'll start with the seed entry that I put somewhere in the upper left if it's something that I think is nice enough to get marquee placement. Although sometimes, uh, hang on, I need to make sure my computer knows that it is plugged in. There we go. I find that I have to restart my computer before each of these streams. Otherwise, it sometimes has memory issues. I feel like my computer isn't that old that should be having these problems, but maybe it is. But when I restart the computer, sometimes it forgets that it's plugged in, and 3 hours of streaming is uh, takes up a lot of the battery. So anyway, back to the Pathfinder. I have a lot of flexibility to choose a seed entry. So trying to think of like things that are going on in the world that aren't horrible. I am not really up on current pop culture things. But my partner shared with me a couple of Sabrina Carpenter videos that were kind of amazing in just the sort of visual references they had. Um, so if I have this, I'm a little bit concerned with the upper left if I'm putting Sabrina Carpenter here. Because at first I was like, oh, I can put, base something. But then I also have this, that would leave this RI, which would, I suppose it could go this way and be like rinse or ring. But I was assuming that it would be, because if it goes this way to the left, you have basically two possibilities. One is that it does this, and whatever goes in through BAS has two more letters, and then the something else crosses through all of that. Or the RI goes to the left like this. And when I say RI, it could also end IR. And then whatever goes through BAS can continue on like that. There's also the possibility that like it's just like something base, and then, well, I was going to say rifle, but that puts, if I had base and like second base or whatever, and rifle, then we would have FLE. Well, I could have Basel, which is a city in Switzerland. But if I just had base, then that would leave an LF that would be at the beginning or end of a word in a way that English doesn't like. So I think it would actually be better if I went off this direction with the RIN, or if I just had AS and then something through IRB, possibly going the other way. What do I have that's like three letters, IRB, and more? Choir boy, flare bond. Those aren't particularly good. Oh, thanks, LeBron Swanson. Yeah, this is probably my specialty format of just gotten so comfortable that I can do it not quite in my sleep. But if I had something, so three letters and then IRB is not promising. BRI and then three letters probably has a lot more. But it's not looking nice. So I think what I'm gonna do, Uh, it's probably do something with RIN that goes out this way. Does mean that I'm going to have to do RIN because there isn't much of anything that ends NIR other than Vanir, which is one of the groups of Norse deities. Uh, and I keep having to remind myself that it is not the Valar, which are basically the gods in Middle Earth. Broda doesn't even have Vanir. Oh, Souvenir. Okay, that might be interesting. Let's try that. Oh, let's remember to tag my beginnings and endings. Sovenir. And then I can have something going around this BAS, possibly. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Possibly split into two words. But what I like about this is it has sour, which I could have as like half sour pickle. That is a thing that I could fit into this grid. Um, or whiskey sour, pisco sour. Um, Let me just make sure that half sour is actually a thing. Half sour pickles, yeah. So, hmm. I'm well. I'll put in half sour pickle somehow. Uh, but I'm a little worried now about this section over here. Um, it's gonna cause some problems. So, whatever this A here in, let's make this a bit bigger. This A here in cell G5 has to go through the C. There's no other way around it. And then I really have to go like this because this cell here is in a bind. It can. The only way that we can get all three of these letters checked without anything hanging out is for us to have something that goes like that, and then something that goes like that. So that does not look. I mean, ACA, it's Acacia and Cloaca, Acadia. Alpaca. Maraca. So Maraca is almost works because I could if there were a word that would go Ramba, possibly S, then that would um, work if I had done the if I did that, I could have something beginning Rambas, but there's nothing that does that. Ambassador would leave the R here stranded. So I think what this is telling me, Oaxaca, so that's telling me that half sour pickle, even just half sour, is not good. And so I could, possibly do it with different placement of having it going like Souvenir. Um, or possibly curving around SO from the top, but that may be difficult to um, make work with this. So let's try A equals 3 RIAS twiddle A SO star. I think trying to get something and go S something IR is unlikely. I could still do like just base and uh, red Sonia, lots of red things. Oh, and I that wouldn't have worked anyway because that was checking the R and the I. So let me try. Well, all right. SO N. Art. So now I could do something where uh, no, that's not going to work either because Yeah, in order, so I have a couple of possibilities here. If I had like, so in order for this, these three letters to be checked, I need them to go one way with this SO and go another way through this S, and since I have a 5-letter minimum, also this A. So at minimum, those are the letters that need to be used. If I, again, around here, I like, in order to have this letter here be properly checked and also these here, I would need to have, if this A is used by the word over here, then all I have this is this B, and so I'm stuck with a 4-letter word. So this is out. What this is telling me is that I should reposition Sabrina Carpenter. Um, all right. So, yeah, what I am thinking here now is that I have something that goes like this to here, something else that goes through this IN and possibly further, and then something else that goes through this. And ooh, wait. Yeah, yeah. Oh. Hmm. No, I can make it work. So what I was thinking was, I guess, let me just make sure I have this right, that there's a Nicki Minaj song called Super Bass. Peak number 3. Which I realize is ages ago compared to Sabrina Carpenter. Um, and then here, just to continue the music references in a different direction, W-A-Y. And I'm thinking that I have this direction, that I have something that ends in either A-R-Y or P-R-Y. And then for here, what I need is like a 5-letter thing that ends in TE or begins in ET, but ending in ET is better. Um, and So I'm thinking, now I can tell that I'm going to have this thing that comes up. So what I want something that ends in AWL, like crawl or drawl or sprawl. But I can sort of sense that what is about to happen. So these four cells and the four on the other side are the most annoying part of a square Pathfinder grid. Because in a square Pathfinder, you have all of these spaces that are between two black squares that only have two adjacent, excuse me, two adjacent letters, and therefore the path through that letter is forced. And the ones on close to the edges wind up being difficult to deal with due to part of it being up against the edge of the grid. And so you wind up having this thing where like you have a series of pairs of short answers that each so I have latte and something crawl, and then I'll have two more things that meet in this one, and so forth. For instance, I could, if I put crawl like that, there are ways to avoid this. However, I do think that it is going to be best if I don't like using this many five-letter words early on, though. Five-letter words are kind of the glue to hold the rest of the puzzle together for me. So I'm also looking over here. So my thought was that I would have something ending in EP or or ending in PE or beginning in EP, and that also overlapping with something through this AC. And then I have something else beginning US. Um, so there's a part of me that wants to focus on this just so I don't have to think about this part yet. Because I kind of wanted to make something longer ending in AWL. Like, um, like opening crawl or urban sprawl, something like that. Um, uh, I was briefly seeing if I redirected the PEN of Carpenter, could I make opening crawl go through the PEN? And no, the parity is off. I would have the R going here and being unable to be adjacent to A. Um, urban sprawl has a really annoying pileup of consonants that could. Um, this could also be something like ball at. Uh, oh, but no, ball at would not be good because then this letter again becomes problematic. So I think I will have C or D R A W L. But what I'm hoping is that instead of just having a 5 letter thing here, that I can have a longer entry that goes through all of that. Um, and it could go in either of 2 directions. So star R. That's why I left it. Uh, this, oh, it could also be trawl. Let's party hat, heartbeat. Trawl might be the way to go here. R T Y H A T, and then have something like hyphen or hydrant going this away. So if I had hyphen would come down to here. Um, if only it were Porty Hat, I could have Hyperpop just saturating the music references up here. Uh, it may be on the wane, but I do still love me some Hyperpop. In small doses, though, there's lots of music that I really like that I can only do in small doses. A Twitch stream embedded in the Discord chat channel. Oh, I don't know. So you can, if it were a chat channel associated with that streamer, maybe, Craig. Um, but yeah, I could also do something with Hyper. Um, I guess there's no reason that Party Hat couldn't go here. Oh, but no, if I, that's gonna, um, God, uh, I don't think that a niche technique from competitive Tetris is gonna meet my criteria. Just noticing that I could fit hyper tapping in there and then have pert that might be able to go around. Keep on dragging too much there. But I think I'll just go with like hyphen. This might be over ambitious. Hyphenated. The over ambitious part is that there's not a whole lot that begins PH. That's 3 letters. Because what I'm locking myself into now is having a 6-letter word starting with PH and then something else that has that same string and then going through either A and E or more likely A T E, although either of those are possible. So let me just see what we get for starts with PH. All right, that's a little bit too much. That's what I thought. Nah. Okay, so hyphenated is too ambitious. Maybe hydrangea. And here, now I'm again having like a 6-letter word. And then, all right, let's just stick with hyphen. I kind of want to have window pane going in here. Yo, Quiara. Today I'm doing a Pathfinder. Oh, now that I have determined that, let me just take care of something quickly here. Ah. Isn't there one of these in the Patrick Berry Meta Suite that dropped recently? Don't tell. I'm only a third of the way through. My partner and I like to sit down and just do a couple of those at a stretch. The last one really kicked my butt, now I'm afraid. So this one of berries is, I think, more approachable. The puzzles are a lot more, a little bit bigger than bite-sized, but they're not full-sized. There are 24 of them, but they are smaller. All right, so if I have just hyphen, then I can have pretty much anything that starts ph here. So it's mostly a question of some of them are very simple. You've spent anywhere from 2 to 40 minutes solving any individual puzzle. For us, it's been 10 to 20. Although I am also deliberately taking it slow. I am not trying to rush through them. Ugh. I'm just thinking like phrase and then Caesar, and then I can have something ending in C-A-N-E, which can be a lot longer. Um, can I get something that isn't so reliant on 6-letter words? Like I can have a longer thing ending in cane. Sugar cane, hurricane, candy cane. But how many short words do I have so far? I have latte, trawl, hyphen. Oh. A E S A R. So maybe I have no, no autocomplete. Don't autocomplete those. Oh, this is so. I almost have asparagus here, except that it would be apsaragus. Um, or apparatus, but with a G. Do I get better results if I use a different kind of cane? Candy cane isn't gonna play nicely with that AP. What else do we have? Arcane. Walking cane. possibly thinking like king. Oh, problem is there's not a good six-letter thing starting with king other than kinged, but that ed doesn't. It's too short for King Koopa. And it has it has to be either six letters ending in this square or longer and going through the P and so on. Oh, there's kinged and kingly, but kingly doesn't work. King me. So let's try that. Oops, INGME, then Ape Man, which is probably going to be some kind of Tarzan-based clue. And then I have something here that this is checked. Something that begins law. And it would be most convenient if it went down the right corner of the grid. Because otherwise, if I had something like, Lawrence going out, then I'm stuck having two entries, one of which begins with these four letters and one of which ends with these four letters. So, could also be something like renewal and energetic. Let's try that. Renewal. E N. Oops, no. E. For anyone who is not familiar with my nomen, with my symbology here, I am using exclamation marks to mark the beginning of a word, commas to mark the end of a word, and periods to mark anything that is checked. Although anything that is both the start and end of a word gets a exclamation mark and a comma and is treated, and I don't add an extra period for that. So I could do something like energetic, and then I have this there's something that can go like that, or like Anemic, Anglican. But I don't. This might be too. Getting to be too much in this section. Could just be energy. Um, I'm being concerned about. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to end ARY, and then which means we have something that goes PEN. And unless it also goes down to here, well, I can see, and it's probably not ant bite. No. Every space is used twice. Oh yeah, every space is used twice. Starts and ends are used twice. Um, so like this S here in Sabrina Carpenter is also an S in Superbase. Um, do I have? Um, so what's 7 letters AN to Y? There's anomaly, anybody, analogy. Analogy would let me have penal. All right, I'm gonna feel like I'm being locked into more shorter words again. So let's see. Law. What could begin with law? Lawless, law abiding. Don't want to do lawman since I already have 8-man. Lawn chair, except it would have to be lawn chair isn't gonna work. Lawn chair and lawn darts are gonna give us an ND or NCH in this corner. Law blog, law firm, lawsuit. I would like it if it's something that I can hook something on backwards. It'll feel more. There are worse hooks than, yeah, that's what one thing I was considering. What is there? There's Mauritius, Gerontius, um, Lucretius. Huh. Broda has Altius, but not Citius or Fortius, which is the Olympic motto. Altius must have come to it either as a partial in the phrase or through other means. Oh yeah, Pontia. Yeah. Um, so yeah, lawsuit and Pontius sounds like oops, sounds like an interesting overlap. Yeah, I had been considering that, but and then Pontius is going to make most sense going. Hmm. So I'm thinking that we have something that uses the AN or PEN that then also uses this P or O. Um, so let's see. Is there anything like that? I didn't think so. And Antrip, anti-up is not. It would give me Pente. Uh, Purina, Pomona, Piranha, Patina. Could also try to do. Hmm. Hmm. Oh wait, need that to be two letters. Oh, no. C B. Wrong one is set to be 0. Hmm. I was hoping that maybe I could have something with coin op here. Um, like anti-up would put TEU, so I could have Pente here, but I don't really like that. So I think, what else? Like I could also have like penne and any an. Um, which would still let me maybe do something that doesn't have to end in that P in NOP. I'm just thinking about the previous thing with energy, and maybe if I can find a way to extend energy. Mm, patina isn't. Patina here is not quite the right spelling of penitence. Is there some other form that's like that? Penit. It's all with an E, right? Yeah. Penitent, penitence, penitentiary. Does the TER have to go there? No, the TER could be uh, moved. Like I could have, I could move it. I just have to put it down somewhere. So I could do like carpenter and then anterior grade amnesia. Or I could have carpenter curl around that way, which is interesting because it would give us literary. Oops. Interesting means I'll do it. Actually, that's not true. There's a lot of interesting things I won't do because I think they're impractical to put in a puzzle. It's a good long overlap. See if I can get more than 5 letters in there. Pencil and ancillary. Pendant and andante is nice. Pennies and Annie's song. I already have enough music in here to be putting in, what is that, John Denver? Or am I thinking of somebody else's song? John Denver, yep. I mean, it was a #1 song in 1974. Pentagon and antagonize or antagonist is interesting because those are different roots. Problem is, it's gonna leave Pontius out in the cold, um, which means that maybe we change back to renewal and Sirene is a kind of cheese. Mm, I do like cheese because if I go for renewal, and Cyrene, then what it would have to be is antagonistic. Or antagonizing. Problem is, I've never heard of Siren cheese, even though it has a lot of hits. Let me try that. String cheese. Still a million, so. Well, people are going to learn a new word. So this is, oops, that's the end of a word, so we get that. N T A G O N I S. I'm not making that word up, right? Like suddenly it's just got so many endings on it that, yeah. Okay. All right. So, oops. C P E N. So, in order for this to work, unless there's some uh, word that happens to go, um, ILCIT, which I doubt there is, you have something that is IL or LI, and then another thing which is beginning SCIT. So it could be like citrus. Um, although I wonder. So, first of all, star te dot just to see if I'm missing anything else that could go in there. Because I could also. No, I can't move the R because then I'll have an unchecked letter. So it's just literary, but I could have. So I think the way this corner is going to work, or this section is going to work, is that we're going to have citrus or citron, but we'll start with citrus because it's an anagram of my name. That's definitely why. And then something IL going this way, and then something that uses the so this L really wants to be next to another L, whether we're going forwards or backwards. So I'm having something that's like, so ILL vowel star. If I can, what do we have that's like 8 letters would be nice if it is too much to ask of something that curls around like this. Actually, no, that's too much to ask. Actually, I'll pause on this and go back up to where I was saying that I need to worry about this ACPE. Um, so I guess EP is a possible beginning for things like EPIB, whatever, and epoxy, but man rope, I I already have one ape thing, so still want to try to get these two segments here going in opposite directions. Okay. E E R O T I no C A and E P I T O M E. So I think this is going to have to be like meals. So then we have user something. It could be user ID, username, that sort of thing, user base. Um, I always like it when I can get, well, I sometimes find ill at ease to be a handy phrase. Like it has T's it, and it could go with like oscillate or vacillate. Um, but I don't think it's really the If it were one letter longer, I might... Would I? No, it better be something shorter. Uh, which means it's probably something ending ALLI, like Valley, Frankie Valley. Um, if I thought Annie's song was too old a music reference, how about Frankie Valley? Uh, it's probably going to give like illative. I'll ask. Problem with I'll ask is you really want it to go here. And then the other thing you want is to be able to get that K connected with the UR. I don't think that's going to happen. Rubik. Sure. Oops, actually that's... Oh, wait. What is this? Oh, I just entered in the wrong symbol there. That's totally checked. This might not turn out because we could have user IDs and then we have something beginning with ID and something beginning with BI. For IDA, BI, twiddle A. That's what I thought. All right, so let's back out of I'll ask. It's also possible that meals was not the right thing. So let's just... But I haven't looked at things ending in ALLI. Valley, shall I? problem is, let's see, shall I? By the way, I am being uh, very sloppy about my what I'm doing when I'm taking out entries. I should take out entries one by one and make sure to um, properly untag all of the letters. Um, Doing it more than one at a time is a good recipe for messing up the checking and having something go wrong at the end. Um, is there something that is like ru sh star? No. If it's just valley, again, we're going to have a checking problem because I don't think we're going to find something that's going to, with user, that's going to have this V in it. So we're going to, all right. All right, so we're going to take out shall I. We still have li. And at the same time, we're taking out meals, but we're still leaving in the M and the E and this S here. Hmm. So I'm possibly thinking that instead of citrus, I have maybe citron or citrine. No, it really should end in this square. So citron, citing, cities. Um, you know, so I'm possibly thinking of like having like Salem or Golem there. Jebel Ali, what is that? I assume this is how it's a port near Dubai. Ugh. Have like Megan, Melon, Mason. I wonder if having something else that begins APITO, it's probably just different forms of epitome, epitomize. Okay. What about starting with IL? Only muesli were spelled differently, or if epitome was spelled differently. If words were spelled differently, a lot of puzzling would be easier. Hmm. Okay, I'm thinking of a possible different approach to this corner. Uh, I say corner, it's really the middle part there. All right. That we have something that starts with CIT and goes off in this direction, then a 6-letter thing that um, gets the LI, and then maybe the ME word goes here. Unrelated question. In a spiral puzzle, is it a bad thing if an overlap between the forwards word and backwards word is just a single letter? It is something that I try to avoid. It seems unavoidable given if it's unavoidable, then as long as it doesn't happen too often, that's fine. And but especially make sure that you don't have a single letter overlap, which is something like a plural S or a past tense D, because that gives you no information about the crossing entry. You knew it was going to end in an S anyway. But I've definitely seen ones, but like June's had a couple in outside the box that have had single letter overlaps. I think in one case the single letter was a Z, so it was especially like that. That is a more helpful letter. It was like Zyrtec overlapping with Nice Try and Zetas or something like that. DM me later? Sure. I'm looking forward to it. So, like, possibly I'll say if there was something that was like city and something. Um, but if we go like A equals 2, IL dot dot A, CIT, twiddle A, IL dot dot A, CIT, twiddle A, star. What is a cittern? Oh, it's one of a number of similarly named musical instruments. Appears to be some kind of lute. Because we've got like, you've got the cittern, cithern, zither. I think those are etymologically related to guitar and I think sitar as well. Sometimes when I'm trying all of the forwards and backwards permutations of entries in a Pathfinder, I wind up with a query like this. The tilde is saying take the reverse of the letter string marked by capital A. And I get things where only backward strings are appearing. And I wonder if if this happens to like be slightly suboptimal in a way where changing the changing it to be forward both ways would be slightly faster or something. decided to try um, widening the dictionary. I would love to use Umiak, which is Alex Boisvert's Cot clone that allows for custom word lists, only because I don't do many crosswords for which I could use Crossword Compiler or the like, or Crossfire is what I actually use since I have a Mac. I don't actually maintain my own word lists. So, uh, in fact, I reached out to Alex about something else, and he was like, "Hey, have you used Umiak? What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, but I don't use custom word lists yet. Maybe this will lead me to reconsider that." What I think is going to be one of my main uses of it, though, is that if I'm writing a puzzle with a data set and I'm looking for wordplay around that specific data set, but even then, what I would really like is like do wordplay on this thing from the data set and get an answer that's in a wider dictionary, or vice versa. I don't know. It might be useful. And I could try swapping the position of epitome and erotica, but user is just so much nicer than USE use. I guess it would be use me, which is at the very least a name of a Bill Withers song. Oh, but I already have King Me, so I wouldn't want some other me phrase. Um, okay, I'm reaching the conclusion that as much as I like erotica and epitome, hush, I am going to have to go back to the drawing board on that particular one. guess there's technically also Exotica, but alright, then the other direction. Could possibly move the SU of Superbase over here, but then I would need to have something with ACUS, and it's only one C, so I can't have a custom or a Q's. A Cushnet? What is that? It's a golf brand. It's a subsidiary that operates several golf brands. Oh, that's why it looked familiar. It's also a town in Massachusetts whose population is currently 10,000. Okay, so one thing that I didn't try was having the AC word and the EP word overlap in the same direction. I had them going in opposite directions before. And I'd like one of these to be 2 letters longer than that. That's not looking super great. So star CA, oops. There's just not a lot here. What if we say that one of them is just 5 letters? Problem is, I would have to go through all of the other permutations as well. Those are all too long. I don't want them to be both 5 letters, because then they'd be ending in the same 3 letters. Maybe if they were going in different directions. I mean, frozen rope is like the best thing that's come up. Um, with Acorn. But that's just gonna be so difficult to work with. Because if I have Acorn here, and then frozen rope has got to go to the has got to come from the right. Otherwise, it'll block off the U.S. Uh, and then it has to go this direction. And then probably like that. It's awful. There's not going to be anything else that I can have instead of super bass that ends in R bass, is there? Fender bass, maybe. River bass. Freshwater bass. Sorry, Nicki Minaj. You have been dumped in favor of fish. So now there's a lot of stuff that can end R-I-V-E. You know, arrive, derive, thrive, um, drive, contrive, deprive. Sex drive is going to put DX or XD at the end. So that doesn't work. Overdrive could work. It'd probably be coming from here. Oh, yeah, good, maybe. So then R. So then I'd want DR to go like this. What is it? Oops. I don't like droit or doit. I mean, yeah, it's bad legal French. Uh, it has suggested macaca several times in different places in this puzzle. Um, Act fast, maybe. Oh wait, no. C A S T T. So I could do something like strive over here. Could try to. I don't think there's going to be a good thing that covers. If it were one letter shorter, you have Stoli vodka, but um, so I think I'm wanting to get something that goes down into here. Maybe we're back to like citrus and something. Okay, let's try something. Go back to shall I. Come on. And C I D. And then slats. Oh, we didn't have something that would go RUSH, did we? Okay, so not that. I could maybe give myself less liability, if instead of, if I had like act fast coming over here and doing strive. Oh, but then I have both of these as loose ends. But maybe overdrive was not the right call. What's Curly? Curly disease? No. Hoping I could have something with Chun-Li here. No. Alright, overdrive was too much of it imposed too many restrictions on me. Is there anything besides account that fits this? Just account. I was thinking of the possibility of having like contrive. Oops. Contrive and account, and then something else. Accrued, accused. Maybe line drive, just slightly better. I, V, E. Because this is C. Oh, A, C, C, U, S, E, D. Could also have accrued. Oh, accrued would let me get C dot R U S H and then S H A L, no, L I. So let me just see if there's anything that is .la.in, Flamin, Flavin, play in. Latin, lay in. Okay, so we'll have citrus. C I T R R U S. And then we'll have something that goes through this. Oops, this is not checked. It's not been checked yet. Autocomplete added the. Oh, I never went back and checked this one, but it's in hyphen and phrase. So my thoughts are that I have 5 letters here, 6 letters here, 5 letters here, and 6 letters here. So I have 2, 2, and 3 are my unknowns. So let's say it's SL, SL, A, RUB twiddle A. Wait, is that right? Yeah, twiddle A. CLIN twiddle C twiddle B. Okay, so certainly we have stuff here. There are several things here that I could use. But let's just go through the different permutations. Those are bad. Blech. What did Slade do? Is that like Metal Health or something? Hard Rock and Run Runaway, My Oh My. Oh, Come On Feel the Noise. Right. Sure. Slade. S L A D E. And then this is going to be rushed or rusted. And then of, going all the way back here. I think rusted, fill in, and lifts is good. U T E. Oh. F I L L I N L I F T S. So word len total equals len that. Equals sum. All right. So there are 94 blank spaces in a Pathfinder of this size, so the magic number is 188. Steinway. Hyphen phrase. I'm a little worried that I'm just going to have a ton of short words in here. Troll. 8-man. Crude. Pentagon. But an antagonistic is going to help me. Oh, wait. A crude Pentagon. Oh, that wasn't Pentagon. That was the other P word there. Party hat. Caesar. Crush. Pentagon. River bass. And tag. Better make sure I spell it right. Shall I line drive? What was this one? Oh, that's not. Darn you, autocomplete. Literary citrus walking cane lifts Slade fill in rusted serene renewal. Okay, well, let's see. 188. Excellent. So, looks like I have correctly checked everything. It's 26 entries. I'll take that. I was thinking there would be even more considering how many 6s and 5s I used. 26 means that the average answer length is a little bit over 7. But I guess Sabrina Carpenter, antagonistic, and walking cane are pulling a lot of weight there. All right, it's 11:22. So I guess first of all, if any of you have any questions about what I've been doing, so like the process at the end of going like, oh, this almost fits, but for one letter, and then I need to take out a lot. I mean, that's familiar to a lot of to most constructors of like, oh, this would have fit, but now I have to take out 20% of it. I'm kind of dealing with a yesterday I posted to Patreon a puzzle that I initially constructed here several weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I think. And I turns out had a major typo that I didn't notice when I was doing it. And I did a major no-no where I rushed a puzzle out before my test solver was finished with it. So it still had that typo in it. And usually when I have a typo, it's like a typo in a clue or the numbering. But this was a typo in the grid. And I knew I wasn't going to have a quick fix, so I had to withdraw that, and we'll be working on it later. So that was a little over 2 hours, which is typical, possibly on the long side, although I was talking through it. But I will then, in a moment, switch to When's the last time I had a regular Pathfinder that wasn't part of something else? Let's... Okay. You know what? Do I have... an ink saver version of the solution? Had a patron a year or two ago ask if I could make ink saver versions of some of these puzzles, and Pathfinder is one that has a lot of black squares. Oh, let me change the window now that I've opened the file I want. All right. So let me just... Can I... Will it copy from the spreadsheet into here nicely? No. Not the way I want it to. Oh, definitely not. All right. Don't know when I don't understand what's going on. It's trying to create a... I don't know what was happening. I've never had that particular interaction come up before. I think it was trying to treat it kind of like cell references in a spreadsheet, but I don't know what I did to make it happen, and I won't try to reproduce it. So I was talking about how in a Square Pathfinder you have all of these spaces that have only have two neighbors. Everything that's between two black squares or between a black square on the edge of the grid has just two neighbors. And that's one of the things that I prefer about working in in the hex format, is that you always have three neighbors to each cell except on the edges. And that makes things work out so much nicer. You don't have to worry about creating a blind alley so much. The and I don't have to worry about, like, I do still have to worry about whether I'm going to cut off part of the grid with my choices, but less so. All right. One south. Sabrina Carpenter. Now let me move this over. I'm going to want to... Okay. I want to have the sheet up and this up so I can refer to the sheet as I enter things in, but also still be able to see chat. So having to squeeze things a little bit to make room. All right. Hyphen phrase. Draw. I'll see 8 south crude. Oops, that's not how you spell accrued. Pass. Stick. Terrary. This puzzle is one that has a feature that is pretty common among stuff like, wow, that's the first entry that goes west to start. Not that that's particularly meaningful. Oops. Huh. I think I've missed something. Because I should have 21 answers. Oh, I missed citrus. Okay, that came after literary. So I mentioned that Citrus is an anagram of my surname. In high school, I was very active in both marching band and concert band, and my dad did a lot of volunteering. Um, and one of the band's big fundraisers uh, was a citrus sale where a truck would drive up from Florida packed with crates of oranges and grapefruit, and you know they'd be sold. And my dad was in charge of running the citrus sales, and it was the anagram was not lost on everyone. So even back then, um, I was capitalizing, or my family was capitalizing on the wordplay potential of our name, I suppose. My dad was often referred to as Mr. Citrus. Um, Antagonistic. No S in antagonistic. Oh yeah, so I did have a patron who asked for Inksaver versions, and I was just like, you know what? Maybe I don't have to make non-Inksaver versions. Maybe they can just all be like this. It's easier than me making two versions of every puzzle. Um, so, save this with a correct file name. 202509. So Inksaver. Yeah, antagonistics plural was a was a typo. I've had a few typos in entering these. Yeah, like the one that was unfamiliar to me was serene. That may not be how it's pronounced, serene. Um, but it's a cheese and it appears to be fairly well known. Um, so I'll go with it. I wonder how the hits compare to some other somewhat niche cheese like Yay Toast, which I realize is not technically not cheese. Oh, Yay Toast is has very few. Okay, then Brunost. Huh. Uh, I'm sort of like trying to mentally calibrate like what's the right amount of niche for the cheese to be. Uh, well, what if I put in? Okay, so Siren cheese is like 1,000,000. Fortunately, it is uh, less obscure than Kazu Marzu, uh, which, if you don't know what it is, don't look it up. Niche cheese philosophy. Yeah, I don't know. I see what you did there, and I guess I'm willing to acknowledge it. Wasn't sure I would. My housemate Dan has a lot of really great, really awful puns, and it's just a question of like, are we going to acknowledge it, or is his reward going to be our pointed silence? All right, I am probably not going to try to write clues in the last 20 minutes, um, or certainly not going to try to write all the clues. But I will at least. Uh, Now let's open up. Okay, let's. Rename this one to Pathfinder 202509 regular. All right, I'm gonna change this to be in a new window where I'm going to start writing clues. Don't want to write clues over the solution. Alright, so one, two. Actually, I don't need all of this. I can just refer to the spreadsheet again. Okay. One, two. Oh. 9 point. Left justified. So the dots are indicating spaces where an entry ends. This comes from the first time that I may have mentioned this last time I did a Pathfinder, but the first time that I ever sent a Pathfinder to June for Outside the Box. He was like, "This is great, but I want some sort." It did not have any dots in it. It was the sort of classic Pathfinder presentation is just numbers in the blank grid and numbers and directions with the clues, and that's it. And he said, I'd like some option for making it for making a an easier version, and suggested marking the ending letters. And so I've done that in, I have taken to putting out most of my puzzles with 2 difficulty levels and doing the dots in the regular version and no dots in the harder version. There was one occasion where I wrote a Pathfinder for a puzzle hunt at the Museum of Mathematics, and it was intended to have a potentially more casual or a wide range of solver experience. That some of them would just be like friends of the museum who wanted to check it out and such. And so I had, in that one, I put numbers for both the beginnings and ends. I numbered every space that was the beginning or end of a word, and just said, like, this entry goes from 1 to 12, this entry goes from 2 to 9, and so forth. Which in some cases, like, completely determines the path if you know the length. And I think I was also still giving the starting direction as well. Long time ago, I used to have more, sometimes do different things in the hard and regular and hard versions, so that, like, there was some information that you might get in the hard version that you didn't in the regular, because the regular had more information in other ways. But I've switched to doing things where the regular version has all of the information of the hard version and then something extra. All right, so I've marked in the squares. All right. Because the Pathfinder is a fairly compact form, especially the 11 by 11 square, I do have some room to stretch out in the clues. And I don't think I could really sell this in the puzzle itself, but I am reminded when thinking about Steinway, Victor Borge had a bit where he said, like, you know, the Steinway Company is proud to announce that Mr. Borge plays a Baldwin. But I don't think I will go that route. I think I will. Oh, I also like to change the kerning of any space that has 2 dots in it. Purely aesthetic reasons, really. Don't want to write a clue for Sabrina Carpenter without having the chance to go back and, like, decide which of her videos I want to refer to. I've forgotten the names of them. Why not? Um, I used to teach uh, cryptology at a summer program and uh, cover, pretty much the whole history from, you know, Caesar cipher and before that up to digital cryptography. And we have a lot of fun trolling the students in a lot of ways. And there's one other instructor who was especially fond of trolling his students. And he told them regarding the Caesar cipher, technically it's pronounced Kaisar. And they were so used to him trolling them that they were just like, yeah, right. Um, some Usually I write my clues systematically when they're not a cryptic, but oh, I should note it wasn't pentagonal, it was pentagon. Um, I don't like having to clue things like river bass because, like, you have to refer to rivers without referring to rivers. So something about a stream or whatever. Like it's a cromulent entry, but um, regarding citrus, when I was young, I thought that citrus just meant sour, and so I was very insistent that pineapple was a citrus fruit and would not accept explanations to the contrary. Um, I think this is like absorbing my mom telling me citrus fruits are sour, and absorbing that as like a blanket definition. Come on, feel. Actually, let me get the on feel the noise. Okay. Also, they capitalize the O apparently. What is? Okay. Quiet Riot covered Come On Feel the Noise, which is why I thought that Slade was Metal Health. Okay. That didn't come out of nowhere. long was this again? Antagon 12. Hmm. Yeah, it is. I do find it slightly interesting that I only have two entries that start going west and another one, two, three, seven, no, six that go east, which means that 18 out of 26 entries are going north or south. But I don't know. It's not all that interesting. Um, just shakes out that way. And part of it is that having these entries that are in, these alleys in um, the second and 10th rows, um, the ones like, 5 and 6 and 21 and 22 being in these alleys, that they have to go north or south. And actually, that's true not only of those, but like any of the other ones that are in these alleys. So I guess I'd never really considered that a third of the squares in, not quite a third, of the squares in a square pathfinder can only go north or south. So having 2/3 of the entries go north or south is what you would expect. Okay, I'd never considered that. I learned something. Uh, hmm. I, I can feel my brain slightly leaking. So I think I should wind this down. I realized that I need to start putting these up, putting the final, the completed streams up on YouTube, um, for a couple reasons. One of which is that I have these files sitting on my hard drive and they're taking up a ridiculous amount of space. Um, oh, I'm now thinking about what I said about there being more entries that must go up and down than those that must go left and right. But the ones that can go east and west, usually 2 or 3 of the directions they can go are east and west. So that would balance it out somewhat. I'm not going to run the numbers right now. But anyway, I'm want to start putting these on YouTube. I used to do a series years ago called Under Construction, where I would be a little bit more formal about going, today we're going to do a Pathfinder. And I had a little PowerPoint where I talked about what some of the key features of the Pathfinder are. I don't want to bring all that back, but I am reviving the name, Tortoiseshell Studio Under Construction. I think I'm going to get back into that. But that is it for me tonight. It's been lovely chatting with you. I'll be back next week with something new. Until then, take care.